I might quit.
This is not a random match. This is rank 'em, dumbass.
No, I know, but I was just saying.
And we're live, so everyone that's just heard you complaining. But anyway,
that was the point.
But anyway, we're live with the rank 'em match. So we went with movie villains this week because that's what you wanted. And I'm actually personally dedicating this episode to the victims of the terrorist attack that happened in New Zealand just recently, just because I can and it's my show. So yeah, but I've got a great panel assembled with me today. For his first time here, I've got Brian Michaels. Brian, how's it going?
You have a great panel and Brian Michaels. So yeah, it's my first time here. You know, I'm looking to have some fun. You got a great group of guys gathered here, so I think it's going to be a good one.
Also joining us today is Caleb. Caleb, how's it going? Boatman is the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm happy to have Brian here because he's somebody who's actually seen good movies. He probably would have let the Before trilogy on the trilogies list, so I'm happy to have him here. I think we're going to have a really good time. I've got a good list of popular villains and some underrated ones. Like, I do have a movie from 1949 on here. So let's see how this goes.
Also here we've got Cody. Cody, how's it going?
Yeah, so this is the battle of the multiplex admins and Malcolm. So this would be a really interesting time. Brian Michaels and Caleb are people I respect. Boatman's a piece of shit. All right, Boatman is the most underrated heel in this entire community that people don't know about. He undercuts you. He's snarky. He's rude, and I'm gonna put him in his place today. So yeah, I'm death to Boatman. That's my new hashtag. Tweet it out. Let's get it going.
And last but not least, we've got the other Caleb, Coho. How's it going?
See, for about a year, I was the most hated Caleb, and then Boatman took that from me. So I'm for Caleb, and I'm okay with that. I like not being shit on for once. But yeah, no, Boatman has the terrible hot takes. Don't wait to roast him.
But anyway, how the show works is we do a roundtable discussion. We each throw out a villain that we think deserves a place in the top 12, and then then everyone else votes, and if it's got the majority yes votes, then it will make it on. But yeah, and then after all that, then we rank them with our whiteboards. But yeah, we shouldn't have any ties, so we won't need to go to random reels to hurt us. But we'll see what happens. But I'm going to throw it over to Brian. Brian, what villain do you think belongs on this list?
You know what? I think there's a core few that are definitely going to make the list, and I'm going to surprise absolutely nobody who watched the my random match and say Hans Gruber from Die Hard. Hans Gruber is kind of the gold standard for having an intelligent villain, you know, somebody who's a good adversary for your hero. After all, you know, most of the 80s were all a bunch of caricature villains. They were kind of cookie-cutter cartoon. And then he came along and kind of provided a whole new template for what a great villain could look like. Not to mention, he had humor, and you kind of liked the guy. You know, if it were not for the fact that he was the villain, it's like, I like this dude. He was fun. So I'm nominating Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber is on the table. Caleb Boatman, what do you say about him?
I say definitely yes to Hans Gruber. One of the most charismatic, likable movie villains ever. But you still are afraid of him. He balances that line perfectly. And let's not forget Alan Rickman's first feature film debut. That is so impressive for anyone's debut performance. So, yeah, I've got to give a yes to Hans Gruber, one of the best villains in an action movie ever.
Cody, what do you say about Hans Gruber?
What you said to me last time? Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker! Yes, absolutely. Hans Gruber was the top of my list. I absolutely adore this character. I remember the first time I saw Die Hard, and there's villains that you absolutely despise, and there's, like Brian said, there's villains that you're like, hey, kind of get your point. I kind of see maybe why you're doing it, and just how awesome Alan Rickman truly is at this performance. He has two iconic characters, Snape and him, and I would say Hans Gruber is one of the best. So yeah, it was a clear yes for me. Not what I thought he was going to bring up, though. Not what I thought he was going to bring up.
And with that, Hans Gruber does make the list. Caleb, what would you have said?
Yeah, it's Hans Gruber, of course.
Yeah, I would have. I would have totally said yes as well. So if that Hans makes the list, I'm going to throw it over to Coho. What villain do you think deserves to be on the list?
Look, I have to stay on brand, okay? I have a very specific brand, and I can't ever deviate from it. So, quite obviously, my pick is Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men. He is absolutely terrifying. Javier Bardem gives probably the best performance of his career. He gives such an ominous presence all the way through, and you can just feel like he's like a spawn of complete pure evil all the way through the movie, just moving from place to place, hunting down Josh Brolin, and it's just like you feel like even in the movie, it's like, oh, there's a chance that the good guy wins. I didn't feel like there was even a chance against Anton Chigurh, who is just absolutely terrifying. Just the coin scene alone in the gas station warrants him as a top 12 villain of all time. So, yeah, Anton Chigurh is who I pick.
Yeah, I'm going to give Anton a slight yes myself. He is one of those villains which can be menacing, and Javier Bardem has done some really great villains in his time as well. I think this is probably his best one that he's done. So, yeah. Cody, what do you say about Anton Chigurh?
Oh, this movie is so slow and boring and bleak and not. No, I'm just kidding. That's Ryan Perlmutter. This movie, Anton Chigurh is really, really menacing in this movie. I'm not as high on it as everybody else. Like, I think it's a really good movie, but I think Javier Bardem is by far the standout in this movie, and I think his villain is awesome. So I have to give it a yes vote because I think he's fantastic.
And with that, Anton makes the list. Brian, what would you have said?
I would have said no, not because I don't like him. It just I wouldn't rank him as highly as a lot of other people. I mean, I need to rewatch this movie because I saw it and I was not blown away by it, but everyone raves about it and I really need to rewatch it. But I would have said no, but I have no problem with him making the list.
And Caleb, what would you have said to Anton?
Well, Brian loses all good faith I gave him earlier. I would have given him a big yes to No Country for Old Men's Anton Chigurh. One of the greatest characters, one of the best villains, menacing, intriguing. What's so scary about Anton Chigurh is you feel like he's doing everything because he feels like he has to. Like, it's like this drive, like everything's going to go wrong unless he does these awful things. That's what's so fascinating about Anton Chigurh. So yeah, absolutely terrifying, amazing performance, amazing villain.
Just like Boatman, villain.
And I'm going to actually throw it over to Boatman for his first pick.
Okay. I'm going to take it back to 1960. One of the greatest horror villains ever. Norman Bates, baby. I'm talking from 1960s Psycho. Just an iconic, tragic character, really scary villain. Everybody knows the twist at this point that Norman thinks that has his mother's personality in him, and it's like this dual personality. It's totally fascinating. You feel bad for Norman. It's completely scary. It's just an absolutely great performance and an absolutely great movie and an absolutely fantastic character. Cody,
I'm going to throw it over to Brian. Brian, what do you say about Norman Bates?
I think Norman Bates is like iconic in that, just in terms of early horror movies, everyone's familiar with him. Everybody knows the character. I would not say top 12 of all time though, so I'm going to say no.
remember, your top 12 is going to go away real quick because everybody's going to say no. So
I'm sure it will.
Well, and I think you're like projecting your own fears and insecurities onto Brian. I'm more inclined to say this to Brian right now than you.
Anyway, Cody, what do you say about Norman?
Hey, Bill Boatman, your film critics, like friends and stuff that like rave about all these movies, you can go talk to them in the corner. But right now, grown folks are talking, and guess what? We're not trying to hit any status quo on this. So that's a no vote for me. Yes, you did what everybody classically does on this show. You shot your shot at a classic film because of the word iconic. It's been done better and outclassed.
I did it because I love that movie, Cody.
But guess what? Look on it in 2019 glasses, and basically it's been done better by Ben. So, no.
Who has it been done better by?
I'm not saying the character Psycho, but the villain that he portrays been done better.
Anyway, Coho, what do you say about Norman?
Listen, completely on Coho brand. The only Psycho-related piece of content I have ever seen is a TV show called Bates Motel, and it's pretty good. It's all right. And I've seen the Psycho house. I've been to the Bates Motel set, but I've never seen Psycho, so I can't say.
And with that, Norman doesn't make it in the top 10. I probably would have gone a slight no myself. I mean, I do like Norman Bates as a villain. I just think he's not quite top 12. But I'm going to throw it over to Cody. Cody, who's the first villain you're going to throw out?
So apparently this is this is the real thing to say on brand, and I'm doing the Cody thing. I'd lose all credibility if I didn't. I'm going with an animated villain, and I'm going with Scar. This man literally kills his brother, probably ruins a bunch of the lionesses in the thing, lets people come in and devour ruins the entire land, and convinces the son of the recently dead king that he caused it and he needs to leave, and tries to feed him to hyenas in a flippin' Disney movie. It's a total of like 84 minutes. It's insane. He is so menacing. Those lines will always stick with me for the rest of the time. Long live the king. And when he gets close to Simba and it's like, I killed Mufasa. Crazy. He's a psychopath. He literally is Hitler. They literally goose step in the movie. There is no meaner villain in Disney than Scar. Scar is my nomination.
Well, Brian, what do you say about Scar from The Lion King?
Well, Disney this list of villains definitely needs to have some Disney on there because they have some classic villains. It's not the one I wanted to go to first from Disney, but it's hard to vote against Scar. I mean, yeah, I'm just going to say yes. Just leave it at that.
That's why I like Brian.
What do you say about Scar?
Are you crazy? Of course I'm voting yes on Scar. Scar is is the best Disney villain of all time. It's not a question. It's Scar. Jeremy Irons is
You just did that because of my sanity.
I actually have Scar as like number 4 on my list.
And if that, Scar does make the list. Boatman, what would you have said to Scar?
Before? Okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Scar is great for the first 2 acts of the movie. Once he actually gets power, he gets really whiny. That's my problem with Scar. He gets
But
really
you want to nominate
Oh.
You want to nominate
Norman Bates?
It's Linus's job to do the hunting. Meh.
In the third one, when
Norman
Simba
Bates is
returns,
whiny
he
the whole
literally-
freaking movie, isn't he?
Yeah, but
What
he's
the
supposed to be
hell?
a tragic character. He's not supposed to be this giant menacing figure. You got Norma and you got Norman. Like, that's the thing. There's
What's
the
the-
two different.
What's the difference between whiny Norman Bates and whiny Scar, which he isn't whiny? Okay.
Because the difference is that Scar is supposed to be menacing the whole way through, whereas you're supposed to feel for Norman Bates when he's Norman. You're not supposed to feel for Norma.
Malcolm, can you let Boatman know that we don't do a save rule anymore? And also, we've already voted Norman, so I don't know why we're still bringing him up. We're talking about Scar, and you're completely wrong. You're completely wrong. You need to rewatch The Lion King because apparently you don't remember it. Because the third act, he literally almost kills Simba again. So he's not menacing. I get it. Cool.
It's the Linus's job to do the hunting. Meh.
That's Zazu. Okay.
But yeah, Cody's right. We don't do a save rule anymore. And anyway, there wasn't enough yes votes for Norman to actually be saved. So
I wasn't trying to say Norman. Coho's the one who brought up Norman.
So was that a no from Caleb, I assume? I didn't actually hear an answer.
I mean,
Yeah, because two-thirds.
Okay.
Because he forgot the 80-minute movie. He doesn't remember it.
Cody, it doesn't matter. So just be quiet.
but but with that I would have said
I'm
yes.
so glad I'm not going to Chicago.
You're good.
You're happy now.
But yeah, I would have said yes to Scar, even though that villain was done better in Hamlet. But that aside, that aside, Scar is a great villain.
I disagree. As someone who has read and actually likes Hamlet quite a bit, I disagree. Anyway.
But yeah, it's back to me for my first nomination, and I'm going to bring up Voldemort. I do believe Voldemort belongs in the top 12. Depending on sort of which one you go with, whether it's Ray Fiennes Voldemort or even Richard Bremner when he was on the back of Quirrell's head. He is in the movies. He was shown very menacing quite a bit. There was a few ridiculous moments that they did with it, but I do think as a villain, I do think Voldemort belongs in the top 12. I don't know if he belongs number 1, but I do think he belongs in the top 12. But Brian, what do you say to Voldemort?
Oh, always going to me first, huh? Look, I'm going to get outvoted. I would not put him in my top 12, but I understand that he is going to make it. So I'm going to say no, but go ahead and give your yeses and we'll make him there. Just my personal taste, that's all.
Boatman, what do you say about Voldemort?
I'm also going to say no, actually. I think that Voldemort is great as a built-up figure. As an actual interesting character, I just don't find him that intriguing compared to a lot of these villains. I think what makes Voldemort so great is the build-up and the stuff that goes on around him rather than the actual character Voldemort himself. Like, that's just my personal opinion. I know Cody's about to explode, but hey, that's me.
Cody, what do you say about Voldemort?
No, everybody knows this on record if you pay attention. If this was the book Voldemort, hell yes. We're doing Ralph Fiennes? Absolutely not. Get up. And, like, touches his face. Oh, he is not menacing at all. Bellatrix Lestrange and Umbridge are way more intimidating in these films than freaking Voldemort. Even the snake is scarier than Voldemort. He just looks like somebody forgot to add a nose. I love him as a character in the books. He just doesn't translate to the person he needs to be in the movies, and that's always been my problem. So I have to give it a no.
And with that, Voldemort doesn't make the list. Co-host, what do you say?
Yeah, no. Like, they hype him up in the first, like, couple movies as, like, being this terrible, evil, human being, monstrous person. And then we get Goblet of Fire, and, like, the Goblet of Fire, like, there's potential. I kind of like him at the end of Goblet of Fire. And he does nothing until Deathly Hallows. Like, literally nothing. and then I don't care about him by the time we get to Deathly Hallows. So yeah, if you said Bellatrix, yeah, what about Bellatrix maybe, but not multiple.
But anyway, it's back to Brian. Brian, what do you say about is your next nomination?
Oh, well, that was surprising.
I was expecting Boatman to vote yes, if I'm being honest.
I really thought it was going to be 4 against 1 there. I'm the only person I know it's not super Harry Potter fan.
3 against 2. So
okay.
Oh no, I thought it was going to be 3 against 2, but I thought it was Boatman and Malcolm voting yes.
yeah, no, I was not going to vote yes for Valdi. So
Okay. Just for something different. We talked about animated and horror and action movies, all those things. What I think is underrated a lot is comedy villains. And what I think is my favorite comedy villain of all time is Biff Tannen from the Back to the Future trilogy. I mean, he's literally 3 times the villain. You get to hate him as a bully in high school. You get to hate him as a grown-up when he's like in Back to the Future 2 and stuff. And in part 3, he's an Old West villain. And he's fun. He's the biggest douchebag you've always hated all your life. You get to see him get his comeuppance. Just in terms of just sheer bully and just in terms of being a great comedy villain, I think Biff Tannen.
Boatman, what do you say about Biff Tannen?
you better make like a tree and get out of here. I love the Back to the Future movies, and I love to hate Biff Tannen. He's so dumb and so funny. I gotta give a yes to Biff.
Cody, what do you say to Biff Tannen?
I love Back to the Future, so they are in my top 25, all of them. The problem with it is you just said the key word. You love to hate him, but I don't really ever think of him as like I know he's the main antagonist, but mainly the main antagonist of the entire story is time, or the ingredients needed to get back and forth through time. He just puts the roadblocks in time in place. The time he's the biggest villain is 2, and 2 is my least favorite. So I think he's a great character, but he's just that dumb doof that I think is good and needed, but I don't think he's top 12, because when I think of villain, I think of like villain. So I can't give it a yes. It kills me, but I can't.
Fair enough.
And Coho, what do you say about Biff Tannen?
Listen, there's only one moment where I think Biff Tannen is actually like a terrible villain, like bad guy sort of thing, and that's when he gets super rapey in the first movie. But other than that, like, I just don't see him as much of a villain. Like, basically, Cody nailed it. I'm gonna say no.
You gotta think of Mad Dog, though.
I like Back to the Future myself, but I also don't think Biff is good enough for top 12. I think if it was top 15, he would just make it. But yeah, I'm going to have to say no. But anyway, Coho, we're back to you. What is your next nomination?
All right, folks, now is the time. Davy Jones is the greatest, one of the greatest movie villains of all time. You can not like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, I get it. But Davy Jones in those movies is by far the best part, because he is terrifying. He's menacing. The moment when Jack is on the Black Pearl, like when it's all dark out and it's raining, and he looks across over to the other ship, and he sees Davy Jones look in his direction. He brings the telescope down, and Davy Jones is right in front of him. It is terrifying. Davy Jones chasing him, sending the Kraken after him, is terrifying. There is no one that I can think of, maybe a few villains maybe better, that I would put higher than Davy Jones in the top 12. Davy Jones definitely needs a spot in the top 12. Not only is he a heartbreaking villain, he's not like just a villain to be like evil motivation. Like, he's a villain because he had his heart broken and he could never put it back together. And it's so good. I love Davy Jones.
Yeah, I'm saying yes to Davy Jones. If I was to pick a villain out of Pirates, this is the one I would have gone with, because, like, even though Barbossa was a good villain, for me, he did have a bit of a redemption arc as well, so that kind of took his sort of villainous away a little bit. So Davy Jones is the correct choice for the Pirates franchise, but yeah. Brian, what do you say about Davy Jones?
This is probably the most on the fence one that I've got, because I love all three of the first Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I love them to death. And Davy Jones is a good villain. I just have to decide if I think he's top 12 villain. And I'm kind of.
I think you can bump at least one for Davy Jones. Right? Come on. Okay.
Hell, why not? Yeah, I'll say yes.
And if that Davy Jones makes the list, Boatman, what was your said to Davy Jones?
No. Just no. Can all the hate flow back to Caleb now?
No, I just did a good thing. I did a public service.
Cody, what would you have said to Davy Jones?
I think the correct choice from the pirate is Beckett, but
you freaking liar!
No, he is. He's the correct choice.
Before the hangout call, I said, should I put Beckett or Davy Jones? And you said Davy Jones.
One, and you chose Davy Jones. My pick would have been Beckett, but my favorite Pirates movie is Davy Jones, The Dead Man's Chest. I think it's so underrated. I don't think it's a bad movie. And do you feel death? Do you feel the dark abyss? He is so good in that movie and so creepy, and those freaking tentacles. Yeah, absolutely. I would put Davy Jones. Just because I think he gets some redemption after you know his struggle. Like, of course I feel bad for the dude. I don't feel like but the Kraken is more villainous in that movie than Davy Jones, to be honest.
I mean, he
just releases it. That's basically his only job. But yeah, I would have put him on. That's fine.
It's Pat, man. It's Pat.
But anyway, Boatman, it's back to you for your next nomination.
Okay, I guess this is a pretty on-brand pick, so you're all going to hate it.
I said something that I regret it. I regret the trend.
This is a villain from a Best Picture-winning movie. It is from 1975. It is Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. No one is more hateable without actually being incredibly murderous than Nurse Ratched. She is horrible in this movie. She's so manipulative and subtly, like, just her subtle little controls for power are so intense, and they drive you so insane. And what's make this movie so good, like her back and forth with Nicholson's McMurphy. It's such an intense movie, and I love it. And Louise Fletcher won the Oscar for her performance of this character. And I'm being laughed at, so I'm just going to take it.
Did anybody else hear the devil come into your freaking boat's mic?
Wait, what happened?
You did something with your mic.
Wait, what? You guys are talking at once. What?
The devil entered your microphone. Literally, at one point, you're like, Nurse.
So I didn't hear that on my end.
So well, she won the Oscar. Like, what the fuck? Nurse Ratchet's in your house.
Brian, what do you say about Nurse Ratched?
Oh, stop going to me first.
We need a movie made before 19.
Every single time.
We put Tentacle Man on the list. We need Nurse Ratched.
Well, see, my thing is,
Shut your mouth.
I think of Nurse Ratched the way that they were talking about Biff Tannen, and that she's absolutely the antagonist. I don't see her as a villain. I gotta say no.
Cody, what do you say about Nurse Ratched?
Okay. I hate Boatman. I do. I think he's a douche. But Nurse Ratched is a bitch. Okay? Nurse Ratched is the worst human being. Like, I had fears of her when I was little. Like, I didn't want to go to the doctor because I was afraid Nurse Ratched would be my nurse. This woman has
She's just trying to do her job.
No, she's not.
But it's going to piss Boatman off, so I'm going to say no.
Coho, what do you say about Nurse Ratched?
I've not seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest all the way through. All the way through. She's great in what I've seen, but based on seeing half a movie, I can't vote yes in good consciousness.
Well, Coho, you've seen more of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest than I have, so
Really?
yeah.
So good, so good.
It's on my list of movies to watch. I just haven't got around to watching it. But anyway, Cody, it's back to you.
Well, if it helps Boatman, it would have made the list because three other people voted no. But I was trying to be a dick. So I'm going unconventional.
Succeeded.
I'm going super unconventional, and I don't care what anybody thinks.
I'm voting yes. I know what you're gonna say.
Okay, hear me out.
If this is the wind and the happening,
You're not wrong. Okay, my vote is for somebody that the character chases out of this entire movie. Just wants to be with her, just cares about her, loves her, does anything for her, but all she does is give him heartbreak and misery and hell, and then dies and drops a kid off at him. I'm going Jenny from Forrest Gump. This bitch. This bitch is terrible. She does not get the credit. Like, he literally, all he wants to do is, like, he may not be a smart man, but he knows what love is. But guess what? Jenny doesn't care. Jenny wants LSD and to party hard and go to Black Panther parties. But listen, Forrest Gump literally fought in the war, and guess what he gets? A kid dropped off. That's not his! How is that? That's terrible. That's mean. That's awful. And he ruins her just so he can have a better life? Terrible. Jenny is one of the worst movie villains in history because she gets so obsessed, and he can't just love her. And when she needs somebody most, she shows back up and be like, he is smart. I named him Forrest. You can have him. I'm dying of AIDS now. What? Awful. Human being. Worst thing in movie history.
Jenny from Forrest Gump is on the table, Brian. What do you say?
Of course it's me. It's fun to bring it up in the conversation. And yes, she's not a nice person. And yes, she uses him and manipulates him. She's also one of the people who showed him kindness. And she's not a villain, so it's a no.
She doesn't show him fucking kindness. She's a bitch.
Boatman, what do you say about Jenny?
I hate Cody. That's it. Okay, but seriously, Jenny, here's the thing. I don't like Jenny, but at the same time, she was abused by her father. I cut her some slack a little bit. Like, her dad was sexually...
He taught her how to swing. He ran for freaking months because of this woman. He ran. He has terrible arthritis now because of her. Don't give me that.
Okay. Back to you, Malcolm.
Coho, what do you say about Jenny?
Listen. The definition of a villain is someone who antagonizes and causes harm to the protagonist of a story. There is no one in Forrest Gump. There is no one in Forrest Gump that causes more harm, more emotional, psychological trauma and damage to that poor man than Jenny. That is an absolute hell yes from me.
She does worse things than the Viet Cong does to him, and he got shot.
That is true. He gets shot in the butt in Vietnam, but his heart is not going to fix itself, okay?
You know what Malcolm's thinking right now as he's about to vote? He's like, what if this shows up on the poll, or people watch this and flip out? Like, that's all he's thinking about right now. He's like, if
Malcolm,
type Jenny from
you will be a trailblazer for voting yes.
Even if you think she's a villain, she's not top 12.
She's
yes, she is.
12.
Malcolm, please.
Well, I mean,
even Sally Field can't bring Forrest back from the brink.
Exactly.
I mean, I knew.
And just when he gets over her, she comes back and ruins him again.
Exactly.
I mean, I knew Cody was going to bring up Jenny for the whole time, but I'm going to say no. Like,
Oh,
yes.
But
how do you feel, Cody?
I just don't see her.
Malcolm,
as
you know what you're doing.
Trump.
You know what you're doing is you're saying emotional abuse is okay by voting no on Ginny.
You hate America too.
We're gonna watch
It's
Caleb
lit.
die live on internet.
Made me get ketchup in my nose. That's hilarious.
I mean, Caleb, just remember who's one of your Pirates of the Caribbean match. I mean, if you want me to put in a question like how many planks of wood are on the Black Pearl, I will do that.
1,632.
Son, I asked how many Oscar-nominated actors were in the MCU and knew the answer. You do that, and I will know the answer.
But anyway, the villain I'm going to bring up next is a very classic villain, and it's another one that is based on a book series. I'm going to go for the Wicked Witch of the West. She in the movie, she was a very menacing villain. Like, she was a lot darker, and a lot of people say she was actually darker than what the way the book had her. Which Margaret Hamilton does a great job of portraying the Wicked Witch, and like she just does everything possible to try and deter Dorothy from her quest. She kidnaps Dorothy. She burns the Scarecrow. She does lots of things, but yeah, Wicked Witch of the West, I do believe belongs on this list. I'm going to go to Brian Coho first.
Yeah, look, I had a villain in my top 12 that was like, I put them there to kind of fill out my 12, and this is the only villain I had on there for the sake, like, I was like, I'm only going to put one villain on my list that's going to be there that's evil for the sake of being evil. And that's this one. But I don't know. I think her performance is great, but the character in The Wizard of Oz is kind of and like it's been done in better places, like Wicked, which gives the Wicked Witch more depth, but then makes her more of a hero. I'm kind of just gonna say no. I think it's not top 12.
Cody, what do you say about the Wicked Witch of the West?
I've seen Wicked. So this changes this character entirely for me. I know it's not technically canon, but when I watch it, I don't see her as that. A house got dropped on her sister. I'd be pissed too. I'd light people on fire, and not to mention, a house fell on her, and the good witch, decided to put her sister's dead shoes on her. Yeah, no, thank you. I'd kill her too. Yeah, no, she has every right. That is flipping theft. That is freaking. She's just a modern day cop, and she's just fighting the law and lighting the stupid Scarecrow on fire. So I support her decisions 100%. I vote no.
Boatman, what do you say about the Wicked Witch of the West?
Look, this character's like iconic and scary to kids, but she's not interesting. Cody, I'm agreeing with you. What is wrong with you?
I know, but every time somebody mentions iconic, oh, here goes. Go ahead.
Shut up, Cody. Yeah, this character's scary, but not really interesting. Yeah.
Brian, what would you have said about the Wicked Witch?
The Wicked Witch is one that I would not have put on my list, but one that I kind of would have to agree as far as the top 12 villains of all time. I would put her on there, even though personally I wouldn't think so, but she deserves a spot. That doesn't matter because it's already up.
Yeah. For the record, if I was going to go unconventional in The Wizard of Oz, I would have totally gone Glinda. She sends Dorothy in this whole quest just to kill other people when she had the power to send Dorothy home the whole time with the shoes. But yeah,
the true villain is the Wizard of Oz. Like, he's just a fraud and a dick. It's like, go kill the Wicked Witch for me.
Well, that is true.
And then I'll send you home. And then he can't send him home.
But Dorothy's a little brat too. I think Dorothy's the villain. So that's just.
Well, yeah.
Is there really a hero in the Wizard of Oz?
The Cowardly Lion.
The Munchkin.
Well, I mean, you're both not
You're
wrong,
not wrong with the Cowardly Lion.
but in saying that, Dorothy wouldn't have had to go to the wizard in the first place if Glinda had said, "Yeah, you can just click the heels on the shoes, and you can go home straight away." But she had to send her through the whole quest first. But anyway, Brian, what is your next pick?
All right. Let's go with. If we want a little bit more of a real world villain, it's not quite such like a fantasy thing. I think somebody that's more sadistic than Nurse Ratched, more cruel, just more evil down to his bones, and played by perfection by Leonardo DiCaprio is Calvin Candy from Django Unchained. I got nothing else to say. He's just my pick.
Boatman, what do you say about Calvin Candy from Django Unchained?
Ooh, I wish I was not. You did not go to me first, but okay. Look, as far as Tarantino villains based on a horrible figures and groups, I feel like Calvin Candy is the second best villain in that category. That said, Calvin Candy's still a really interesting villain. I gotta give him a yes.
Cody, what do you say about Calvin Candy?
Oh, Calvin Candy is a psychopath. I love him for the evil he is. I think he could have literally won an Oscar for that performance. Yeah, he's a hands down. Especially when he breaks that glass and blood starts and he starts screaming. Oh. Because he's so nice, but he's such a dick, and he's perfect at it. So yeah, I would have said yes. Good job, Brian.
Coho, what would you have said about Calvin Candy?
It's Leonardo DiCaprio's best performance in a film, potentially. I think so. But I agree with Bowman that he is the second best villain in a Tarantino movie. That being said, I give him a yes.
And yeah, I would have said yes to Calvin Candy as well. He's just one of those villains that is interesting, and any role which causes Leo to hurt himself for real and deserves to be on this list. But yeah, anyway, Coho, it's back to you.
Ooh, baby, who am I going to pick next? You know what?
Be on brand.
No, I was going to say instead, to be on Cody's brand, I'm going to pick a Rocky villain. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the greatest Rocky villain. In Rocky 4, he kills Apollo Creed. In Creed 2, he trains another killer to try and kill his son. In both films, he's fantastically played by Dolph Lundgren. I'm talking Ivan Drago. Ivan Drago is phenomenal, especially in Creed 2 when he shows up and you have that backstory of like what happened in between Rocky 4 and Creed 2 when he is like, I've been outcasted by my entire country. They turned their back on me because I couldn't beat Rocky Balboa. And now I'm training my son to do what I couldn't do, which is to break the champion of America on TV and become the champ. And it's like, yeah, it's terrifying. And you feel for him in Creed 2, but he's still really scary. He's the first Rocky villain where you fear for Rocky's life when he fights him. So, and he killed Apollo Creed. So, I'm Drago.
I'm going to go first on this. And for me, simply, most people that know me know that I have not seen a Rocky movie, so I can't really vote on this. Cody, what do you say to Ivan Drago?
If he dies, he dies. I have people that know me. Rocky 3 is my favorite Rocky because I think Clubber Lang is amazing in that movie. But Ivan Drago is the better villain. He literally kills Rocky's best friend, and literally then has to go. He tries to kill Rocky. The back and forth is perfect. I'm not gonna be surprised if it doesn't get on, just because maybe not everybody's a huge Rocky fan like me. But yeah, I would say hell yes for Drago.
Boatman, what do you say about Ivan Drago?
I'm sorry, no.
Shocker.
I I like the villain, but I don't know. I can't convince myself to put him top 12. Not
I'm
even.
convinced Caleb doesn't like good.
Okay, I like one Sword of the Cuckoo's Nest, Psycho. I'm bringing up amazing.
I did it again.
I think he's just trying to trigger you.
Wait, what is
He
happening?
did it again.
The
The devil came out of your microphone.
Speaker
As soon as I said you don't like good things, you went, hold on. And as you said, hold on, your mic went devil again, and it was great.
See, I don't hear that when he talks. It's not doing that in mine.
I think it's my
Anyway,
It
laptop.
was great.
Anyway, Brian, it's down to you. Does Ivan Drago make the list?
You know, I think other boxing movies, including the Rocky movies, other movies have opponents. This one had a true villain. I mean, not only is it playing on the politics of, the U.S. versus Russia, but I mean, he did, for the sake of an exhibition match, he killed a man, left a widow, left a fatherless child, and so yeah, I think yes.
And with that, Ivan Drago does make the list.
Ah.
To quote my favorite person, Jay Burns, my guy.
But anyway,
My man.
Boatman, it's back to you.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
Okay.
From 1931.
No, I'm
just kidding.
I'm gonna go to 1990. How about that? I'm gonna go to an Oscar-winning role with
Shocker.
Kathy Bates in Misery. One of the most terrifying performances ever. Because what's so terrifying? Amy Wilkes is the name of the character. What's so terrifying about this character is that 1 minute she's kind of friendly, sweet, a little awkward, a little overly fanatic, but she's okay. And then she's a horrifying psychopath who takes a mallet and breaks your legs. That's how terrifying Annie Wilkes is. It's an Oscar-winning performance. Kathy Bates is absolutely terrifying. I think she deserves to be on the list.
Brian, what do you say about Annie Wilkes?
I think I'm going to say yes to Annie Wilkes. It's something different than everything else we have, and she's definitely a villain, but she's very different. I mean, it's somebody who seems like this nice lady who wants to take care of him, and then you see what she's truly all about, and she's just psycho and definitely, fits the definition of a villain the way she treats, was it Paul something? So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I'm
don't
going to say yes
remember the
to
name
that.
of the character, but it's James Caan. But yeah, I don't remember the name of the character.
Cody, what do you say about Annie Wilkes?
Boatman actually stole my next nominee.
Okay.
But now you're going to say no just because it's his.
Yeah, no, no, I can't let Kathy Bates' Annie Wilkes not get on this list. She fucking terrified me. The suspense of her leaving to go get stuff and coming back, and James Gunn is trying to get around the room or whatever, get back into the thing. By the time she gets in the room, I literally almost had a panic attack because and then when he finds out she has escaped and flipping hobbles him, it's terrifying. This is her best performance. She is terrifying, scary. Hands down, makes the list.
And with that, Annie Wilkes does make the list. Coho, what would you have said?
Never seen it.
Never seen it, so I couldn't.
God.
I mean, I have seen it, and I mean, there's a reason she's the only actor to win an acting Oscar for a Stephen King adaptation. But yeah, she's definitely menacing. Everyone said everything I would have said about her anyway. So yeah, and with that, go back to Cody. What is your next nomination?
Okay, so while we're sitting here introducing the show, this character popped in my head, and I can't believe I forgot about this character. It's not making the list at all because you guys are all snobs, but whatever, okay? This comes from, his name is William Tavington. Colonel William Tavington from The Patriot, played by Jason Isaacs. I can't believe I forgot about this man. This man literally shoots Mel Gibson's son in the back, and then later on has the audacity, goes, "Did he die?" Just to his face, tries to hang his son. He stabs his son again and gives Mel Gibson this run to catch him and end up killing him. And I think one of the most satisfying thing about a villain is when they actually get their comeuppance. It's one of the parts where you jump up and cheer and yell. And this is when Mel Gibson finally kills this bastard. He is menacing. He is awful. I believe this is one of Jason Isaacs' most underrated roles. Like, by far, he is a evil son of a bitch. Shoots people, burns down their houses, doesn't care, doesn't have any remorse in him whatsoever. I love this movie. It's so underrated, and I'm glad I thought of it just so I could bring it up.
Yeah, I've never seen The Patriot, so I can't really vote on this. Coho, what do you say about William Paddington?
I can't fucking believe I forgot about Will Tavington. The Patriot is probably one of my favorite movies ever. I love this movie. This is a hell fucking yeah for me, bro. That's better than anything else I got. Let's go.
It's so good.
Boatman,
so
what do you say about William Tavington?
I'm in the same boat as you, Malcolm. I've never seen The Patriot.
Oscar, so that makes sense.
Patriot, oh my. John Williams was nominated for Best Original Score for that movie. You should have seen it.
Brian, what do you say about William?
Oh.
What's wrong, Cody?
I just
You worried?
think it's gonna. Yeah, a little bit.
Well, no, I mean he is absolutely evil, and he's a son of a bitch in that movie, and he's a good villain, but he's just a victim of. Personally, I think the movie's kind of mediocre, so I got to give it a pass.
Yes!
Oh,
How did you feel, Cody?
oh my heart. Boatman, you haven't even seen the movie. You were
I know,
like
I
a
just
month
like
old.
Cody being
You were
in
a
misery.
fetus when that masterpiece was made. You can't talk.
But anyway, I'm going to go for another comedic villain for my next nomination. I'm going with the man who's literally got evil in his name. It's Dr. Evil. But Dr. Evil is such an entertaining villain in the Austin Powers series. He's definitely one which, he just all he wants is sharks with freaking laser beams attached to their freaking heads. And he did well. Yes, he did in Goldmember. He does sort of turn good in the end, but I think he was still sort of majority evil throughout the movies. And like with Mike Myers doing the dual antagonist and protagonist role, you could definitely done well. That you can definitely tell that evil is truly evil. But yeah. Coho, what do you say about Dr. Evil?
If we can't put motherfucking Colonel Will Tavington on this goddamn list, we're sure as hell not putting Dr. Evil on this bit. That's a no.
Dr. Evil. Brian, what do you say about Dr. Evil?
He's a funny character. I mean, in the frame of the movie, but I'm not a big fan of the Austin Powers movies to start with, so I can't really put anything on any list from Austin Powers.
Boatman, what do you say about Dr. Evil?
Look, this is I like this character. I think he's a lot of fun. Problem is, there are better comedy villains that aren't on this list that are funnier and that deserve to be on this list more than Dr. Evil. I think Dr. Evil's good. Not I probably wouldn't put him top 5 comedy villains, so I don't think I can put him on a top 12 villains list.
Cody, what would you have said?
How about no, you crazy New Zealand bastard? Absolutely freaking love the Austin Powers movies, but he's not a villain. He's one of my favorite characters of all time. Like, he gets nothing done. His entire plan through nothing goes right. I can't give a villain that's never won one battle against the person he has to battle. So yeah, no.
But anyway, it's back to Brian for his next nomination.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know if people are going to want a second one on here, but I'm going to go for another Disney villain. Because I think that Scar is great, but when it comes to, who's the most mustache twirling, just evil villain, and you cheer for how much you hate him, it has to be Jafar from Aladdin. I mean, no matter how much the live action remake is going to try and make him bland and boring and unthreatening, in the animated version, he is absolutely the definition of a villain. I'm
going to lean towards yes to Jafar. He is one of those villains which is definitely great in Aladdin. He's definitely a good villain, but it's one of those ones. We haven't seen enough of him in the trailers for the live action remake to sort of know sort of the full extent of how menacing he's going to be in the remake. Well, from what we've seen so far, it looks like he's not going to be, but it's going to be. It's just a new take on the Jafar anyway. But I'm going to say yes to Jafar, because that's the only one that we've seen completely. So, Coho, what do you say about Jafar?
Hell yeah. As much as I hate what they're doing to him based on the trailers from the live action remake, bring me the lamp. It's getting on here. The good Jafar will be on this list. So yes.
Boatman, what would you have said to Jafar?
I would have said no to Jafar. I think he's a good. If this were top 12 Disney villains, definitely. But I think all-time villains. I think there are other Disney villains that deserve more to be on this list than Jafar.
And Cody, what would you have said about Jafar?
Anybody else understanding why Boatman's the biggest fucking asshole in this community? Right there. Jafar by far. This is insane. Like, we all watched the trailer on a hangout, and then what's our one reaction? What the hell are they doing to Jafar? Jafar is one of the most menacing evil things, and has probably the best in sequence of any villain of all time in Disney movies. I'm sorry that your childhood sucked and you didn't enjoy Disney movies, Boatman, and you were watching Gone with the Wind when you were freaking 4. But in my house, we watched Aladdin, and it didn't win an Oscar, so that's probably why you don't watch it.
It did win an Oscar.
I like Aladdin, and I like Jafar.
Did Jafar win?
No, Jafar didn't,
Exactly.
but it won an Oscar for a song.
Yeah,
and score.
That's my whole viewpoint. It didn't win for Jafar, so he doesn't care about it.
Okay, then yes, that's fine. That's fine.
I know it won a whole new
I'm
world.
sorry that your parents hated you and made you watch In the Heat of the Night when you were 4 years old, but come on.
I like In the Heat of the Night.
Of course you do.
Oh,
Wouldn't you?
You
Anyway,
haven't seen In the Heat of the Night, Coho. You're busy watching Cars 2 on repeat.
No, I'm busy watching Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End from Malcolm's Full Metal Random Match.
Hey,
That's what I'm
give
doing.
Malcolm his show back.
Coho, it's back to you for your next nomination anyway.
All right, well, let's take a look at this list of things I made. And look, there's a Disney villain that hasn't made the list yet. And it's a pretty glaringly big one. You might have heard of him. His name's Darth Vader. And you see, like, in every Star Wars movie, we see Darth Vader. And, I mean, in the original trilogy, it's like, look, yeah, I get it. He kind of is just a robot, clunks around, fights Luke with a lightsaber. Rogue One, we see that we are reminded that Darth Vader is freaking great. He kills a bunch of kids in Revenge of the Sith. This dude makes a Death Star machine to blow up an entire planet, then blows up an entire planet while the only survivor sits there and watches her whole homeworld die. And then he chops off his son's hand knowing it's his son. So I'm just saying, Darth Vader's a pretty bad person. So, yeah, Darth Vader.
Brian, what do you say about Darth Vader?
I'm not a big Star Wars fan, so I can't. No, I'm kidding. I mean, yeah. I mean, as much as they hate the word, when you talk about the word iconic villain, it's definitely Darth Vader is there. Any discussion of the top villains of all time has got to include Darth Vader. And I mean, perhaps they've softened it a little bit with his salvation in Return of the Jedi, and then seeing his backstory and how he got the way he did in the prequels. But he's still, he absolutely belongs on the list. So yes.
Boatman, what do you say about Darth Vader?
Okay, here's the thing. No, I'm not. Even I can't be this stubborn about Darth Vader. He's a great villain. I'm not. I don't need to say anymore. It's a great character. You've heard enough from me. Darth Vader's he's great. I'm not going to say iconic because I don't want Cody to punch me through the screen.
With that, Darth Vader makes the list. I personally would have said no because I think there is one other villain from the Star Wars franchise that I think belongs on here before Darth Vader. I mean, with Vader, like, he's a good villain in Empire Strikes Back, but the whole sort of redemption, which I sort of said about Barbossa, kind of does take away from him his villainous ish. Because he was only truly a villain in Revenge of the Sith and Empire Strikes Back, and maybe for a bit of A New Hope, and Rogue One, but I would have said no anyway. But Cody, what would you have said about Darth Vader?
Yeah, the villain
only a
from
bad
Star
guy.
Wars you should have picked was George fucking Lucas. Okay, other than that, he's a whiny thing in 3 movies. He has an over-needed scene in Rogue One where he cuts people down. The 4th one, he chokes one person. The 5th one, he cuts somebody's hand off. And the 6th one, he is a good guy. So please tell me why he's the most feared person in the galaxy. I just was not going to...
Watch the scene in Rogue One, that's why.
That's the unnecessary scene. Okay, so
It
you're
doesn't matter if
telling
it's
me...
perfect.
Yeah, that they did such a good job with that to get people in to see a movie that doesn't involve lightsabers to show that scene that in 20 minutes later he can't move a lightsaber in the right direction, but in Rogue One he slices folks like they're candy, but he can't beat Ben Kenobi. Yeah, that's a really good job, Disney. I don't want to put him on there because basically every list we always include something from it's got to be Star Wars. It's got to be comic books. I wanted to list that actually had characters that we don't normally get to talk about that often, but look at it as Vader's on it. So way to go, Caleb. I hate you just as much as I hate them.
Look, I just wanted to keep my streak of getting everything I nominate on the list alive, so I went with the crowd pleaser, okay?
Boatman,
it's back to you.
Okay.
In 1936, there was a person in the movie that tied somebody to the phone, and I think it needs to be on the list.
Okay, I'm completely going off brand here. I'm going with a comedy villain from 1988. I'm going with a villain who is so hilarious, so memorable, so but also menacing that they gave him the title of the movie. It is Beetlejuice, baby, played by the great Michael Keaton. He is the villain of that movie. He is the primary antagonist. That's who they're trying to stop at the end of that movie. Cody, be quiet. Just stop. Beetlejuice is the villain. In Beetlejuice, he is. That is who they are trying to stop from the end of that. At the end of that movie, he is the villain, and he's great. He's memorable. Beetlejuice. Okay. Cody, go away.
Can I start?
No.
Well, I was going to start on this.
Go for it.
But just because I simply haven't seen Beetlejuice, so I.
Oh wow.
Toho.
Oh, wow. Well, if we're not putting Jenny, who is the bigger villain than Beetlejuice, then we're not putting Beetlejuice. That's a no.
Cody, what do you say about Beetlejuice?
I don't think Beetlejuice is the villain. I flippin' love Beetlejuice. I root for him the entire movie. I wanted him to succeed. I don't care about the humans. They don't mean anything to me. I flippin' love Michael Keaton's Beetlejuice. And I don't think of him. I think villain is somebody I don't want to root for. I'm sorry, I have to 100% disagree with you. How about no, idiot?
Brian, what do you say about Beetlejuice?
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. At the end, they're trying to beat him, but I mean, he also is the one who saved him. So I mean, without him, then we wouldn't have gotten to the point where they're trying to fight against him. So I would have to vote no for Beetlejuice.
He never saved them.
But anyway, it's back to Cody for his next nomination.
Okay, so I've struck out the last 2 times. This one I hope not to strike out with, but it probably will. I'm going with a character that terrified me when I was little. That it didn't seem like you could stop this dude any way you tried, and that is the T-1000 from T2 Judgment Day. This thing literally was scarier than Arnold from the first one, and I didn't think it was going to be possible. But he, when he melts and goes through when he goes through the door, I'm just like, you literally can't stop him. The opening scene, that chase scene in the beginning is one of my favorite scenes in any movie ever. I think it's just so cool. And that villain is literally the best antagonist for Terminator and does such a great job. So I'm going the T-1000.
Brian, what do you say about T-1000?
You know, I was afraid when you said it was an unstoppable villain, I was afraid he was going to go with the original Terminator, because who was a good villain in that one, but again, in later movies, they softened up the character, turned him into a good guy, all that kind of thing. So T-1000, I'm going to say yes to.
Boatman, what do you say about the T-1000?
I unfortunately have to say no to the T-1000 because I have yet to actually see Terminator 2.
What?
But he's watching Gone with the Wind for the 4th time tonight, guys.
It's one of the best movies ever.
Coho, what do you say about T-1000?
The best action movie ever.
Hell yeah. Do I need to say why? I mean, they covered it. He's terrifying.
You still brought up David Jones. I'm just going to say that.
Okay.
I actually would have said no. But just because I actually wasn't terrified of T-1000 when I saw Terminator 2, and yes, I admit he's definitely an unstoppable villain and all that, but for me, he probably would have just come in just out of the top 12 for me personally, but yeah.
Like Dr. Evil.
Hey, Dr. Evil would have been my number 12, but that would have been as high as I would have put him anyway. But anyway,
we need 2 more, right? How many do we have total?
We've got 10, so we've got 2 more.
Ooh, okay.
I've only gotten one character on the list.
It's back to me, and I'm going to try for a Middle-earth villain, and I'm going to go for Smaug from The Hobbit. He's just a big, giant motherfucking dragon. What's more terrifying than that? But yeah, there's definitely a few from Middle-earth which I think should be on this list. But and I do think that Smaug does belong here. He's definitely menacing. He obliterates the whole town, and that. So yeah, Smaug is on the list. Coho, what do you say about Smaug?
I am contractually obligated to vote against anything Middle-earth, especially Smaug. So yeah, no thank you.
Cody, what do you say?
Of all the villains in all the world, you picked Smaug? Are you kidding me? Not Saruman? Come on! The two from the better trilogy, you picked Benedict Cumberbatch as the dragon that talks way too damn long and burns down a city that's defenseless. Of course he burns them down. Hell no. I am a Hobbit defender. I love the Hobbit movies. But there's no way in hell I could include Smog over the two bigger ones in the trilogy before it. Robert would slice my throat if I did that.
Boatman, what would you say about Smaug?
I gotta give Smog a no. I think he's a boring villain in boring movies. I'm sorry, but he is.
Brian, what would you have said?
I was rooting for Smog. He was one of the most interesting things about a movie that was otherwise, just a trilogy of cash-ins and really boring. And I really would like to see him kill more characters in that movie. So I'd say no.
I respect that a lot.
But anyway, it's back to Brian. Brian, what's the next nomination?
Ugh, so few spots left. I'm going to go with Kevin Spacey. Not the actor, although he's a villain, but that's not who we're talking about here. I'm going to say as John Doe in movie 7 from David Fincher. That's a guy of all like the serial killers and all the crime movies you watch. He is the one that's most cold, calculating. He planned this whole thing for months, if not years. He executed some of them for months, like with the guy who was like tied to the bed for months. All to culminate in his plan ending with his own death, but he still gets to win because that was his plan all along. And just like the moment when he walks to the police station, he yells detectives. He's covered. He is a great real-world serial killer villain.
Boatman, what do you say about John Doe?
I'm giving John Doe a yes. I think he's a absolutely terrifying figure. I think the way they build him up throughout that movie is so absolutely brilliant. And then that whole third act when he just shows up and everything just falls into his hands. It's terrifying. And what's in the box? What's in the box? Like that whole scene is amazing. I love it.
He did it again.
What's in the box?
That time I heard it.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Like Rob Zombie came in.
Hey, Bane, I need you to calm down.
Cody, what do you say about John Doe?
I like this movie a lot. I feel like we're missing two bigger ones, so I'm gonna have to give it a no vote. I do like it, but what's in the box? But no, I have to say no.
Coho, what do you say about John Doe?
Never seen 7. Can't say.
Oh my god.
What the hell?
Cody,
Stop
I told you
watching
before we got
Pirates
on
for the
stream.
14th time and watch 7.
Well,
I have a
7.
match to prepare for.
Well, 7 hasn't been made by Pixar, so of course Coho hasn't
Ooh,
seen
can
it.
we
I would
imagine
love to see that though.
Can we watch that?
I'll watch
Speaking
7
of
by
which,
Pixar.
Speaking of which, watch Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix. David Fincher produced animated stuff. It's awesome. Anyway, go on.
But anyway, it's down to me, and I'm gonna give John Doe a yes. I do think he does belong on this list. But yeah. Anyway, it's down to Coho. Coho, can you fill in the final spot?
That is the last spot, isn't it? That made the list. That was number 11. Okay, maybe. So my last pick that I've got here is the best part of his respective movie. In fact, he's probably the best part of his respective franchise. I'm talking about Khan from Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Ricardo Montalban gives a phenomenal performance. The whole movie is a big cat and mouse game between Khan and Kirk, and it makes it the most interesting movie of its franchise. Like, Star Trek is usually these really boring, like, scientific pontifications, and this is actually just really freaking scary. Like, this guy just shows up, kills a bunch of people, leaves him stranded in a cave on a planet by manipulating him, and then is able to maneuver the whole situation to kill Spock in the end. Like, in the end, Spock sacrifices himself, but he wouldn't have to do any of that if it isn't Khan. Like,
Spoiler alert.
Who gives a shit? It's 1982. the motherfucker killed Spock. Like, Khan is a terrifying dude. So Khan's on the table.
Brian, what do you say about Khan?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Did you say me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't put Khan in top 12. He's probably one of the better Star Trek villains for sure, but I can't give him top 12.
Boatman, what do you say about Khan?
Han is the best Star Trek villain, but he's not. I can't put him on top 12 villains. I'm sorry.
Ouch. That's a nail in the coffin.
Cody, what do you say about Khan?
What the hell is a Star Trek movie? I've never even watched one of them, so hell no, I don't know who the hell this guy is. And Caleb, you did a very bad job of selling me to go watch this. No offense, because now I know the
That's
ending. What the hell? Who does that?
You literally knew this. You knew this.
Mother.
But yeah, I mean, and with
I
that,
almost
like
said it.
Khan's not going to make the list, but I would
I'd like
have
to.
also, I would have
I
also
almost-
said I would have also said no to just, but somewhere out there, Kearns is screaming to the high heavens that he didn't make the list, but
Almost
but,
got
yeah.
every pick I nominated on the list.
but anyway, it's back to Boatman. Boatman, can you fill up the final spot?
Okay.
Is
We
it the
already-
final spot?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
one
the
last spot.
What was the
We
last
already
one
have a
that just
villain.
got on?
John Doe?
John Doe going on.
3, 4, 5, 6,
Oh.
7, 8, 9,
I didn't
10.
know John Doe got on. That's fine. How did John Doe get on?
I gave it a yes. Malcolm gave it a yes. Brian gave it a yes.
Oh, I didn't think Malcolm saw it. Okay, that's fine. Bad.
No, it was Caleb who didn't see it.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm picking a villain who already shares a name with somebody who's on this list and already shares a director with somebody who's on this list. Those are not the same, but I am going with Hans Landa from Inglourious Bastard. I think this is a very intriguing villain. He's kind of like evil Sherlock, like if Sherlock was a Nazi, and he's terrifying. That scene with at the beginning is like, for lack of a better word, iconic. And yeah,
Take a drink.
and the scene with like Shoshana and the crepes and everything. He's absolutely terrifying villain, and he deserves to be on this list.
So Hans Landa is on the table. I'm going to go first and say I don't think he's top 12. He's definitely a good villain, but yeah, I just don't, not top 12. Coho, what do you say about Hans Landa?
He's in one of my least, lesser favorite Tarantino movies, but he is really good. So I'll give Hans Landa a yes.
Cody, what do you say about Hans Landa?
Oh, there's a character I really want on this list. I guess Ginny was a waste now.
Who would have thunk?
If anybody saw an actual villain, then you'd realize it. But Vader had to take a spot too. No, I'm gonna say no because I think I have the one that needs to be on the list. So I'm gonna say no. But even though Brian's gonna say yes, so it's fine.
Boatman, what do you say about Brian? What do you say about Hans Landa?
I mean, I'll give it a yes again.
Okay, I'll give 2 votes. Okay. I'm torn between agreeing with Cody and that there's other people I want on the list, and agreeing with Caleb Coho because I feel the same way as he did. It's one of my least favorite Tarantino movies, or at least the bottom half. But
I mean, I don't feel good about my yes. So,
but his character was
Switch
an
it.
excellent villain. But looking at the ones I have left that I think belong on there, there's only one that I think anybody might bring up, and
I'll probably bring it up.
it's probably not you. I don't think it's you. I don't think it's
Could
you.
be. I could be.
I don't think that's it. I'm gonna say yes, Salanda.
And with
Who
that,
was it?
that closes
Are
off
you in
the
honorable
list.
mentions?
Yeah, Brian, did you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, the one that I really surprised wasn't on here mentioned by anybody, Hannibal Lecter.
That's the one.
Freddy Krueger, Alan Rickman again, and Sheriff of Nottingham. Mr. Rooney in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He should be on there. Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. Drexel Spivey is Gary Oldman from True Romance. I knew he would make the list, but I wanted to bring him up because he's awesome in that. Renee Belloc from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Mark Zuckerberg, a villain in his own story. Gozer, Commodus, Hades. And then the last two, the tire in the movie Rubber, and the severed penis in a movie called One-Eyed Monster.
Boatman, what honorable mentions do you have?
All right, well, I've got Max Cady from Cape Fear. I think Robert De Niro is brilliant playing him. Some other ones that I knew had no chance of getting on the list if you're going to turn down Nurse Ratched. Harry Lime from The Third Man. Orson Welles is absolutely charismatic, but he's a horrible person, and it's great. Watch The Third Man. The Third Man is fantastic. Juror number 3 from 12 Angry Men. Absolutely, he's a very kind of sympathetic villain, but he's still like the primary antagonist to juror number 8's story in 12 Angry Men. And Regina George from Mean Girls. I would have put her. Oh, and Judge Claude Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame. Oh, and Gaston.
Cody, what honorable mentions did you have?
In case he talked again, I was meeting him. Hannibal Lecter from the Oscar-nominated, but I couldn't bring that up, could you, Boatman? Frank Costello from The Departed. Silva from Skyfall. Warden Norton from Shawshank Redemption. That dude is a dick and a douche, and I love it. Henry James Waternoose III from Monsters, Inc. He literally throws them out and he literally exiles them. Insane. Crazy dude. Regina George from Mean Girls, I would have voted hell yes for because that is me and my wife's favorite comedy together. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Coho, what honorable mentions did you have?
Hades from Hercules as an honorable mention. James Woods is phenomenal. I also had Lord Cutler Beckett from the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy. Phenomenal villain as well. Tom Hollander is absolutely terrifying. I also had Syndrome from The Incredibles. And last but not least, Johnny from The Room, because Tommy Wiseau is the villain of his own movie, whether or not he wanted to write himself as one or not.
And for me, I had Jigsaw from the Saw movies on my list. I had Pennywise, I had Michael Myers. I did also have Sauron and Saruman on my list. I had Agent Smith, and I had Palpatine, which is that was one that I think should have been on here instead of Vader. And I also had Jack Torrance, but yeah. But anyway, now we get to the fun part and actually ranking the villains. So write down on a bit of paper, pen, whatever you want to use to write with. But one thing I did actually forget to mention at the start of the show is this is what the poll results, the top 5 Ben Affleck movies was according to the poll I put out last week after the show. At number 5 was The Town. At number 4 was Chasing Amy. At number 3 was Batman vs Superman. At number 2 was Dogma. And number 1 was Good Will Hunting.
The Town is lower than Batman vs Superman. Oh, yeah, that's disgusting.
I mean, well, that's the thing. It got a lot higher than what we actually put it on the actual show, because it was definitely in the lower half of that list.
the name of the one.
Actually, how about
It's the best of the DCU Ben Affleck movies, but that's like saying the turd is the least smelly of the others.
Like the shittiest pirate is still a really bad pirate.
Okay.
But anyway, Brian, what do you want at number 12 on the list?
No one's going to agree with me for a while. Anton Chigurh.
Boatman, what do you have for number 12?
Davy Jones.
Oh, you're both pieces of shit.
Cody, what do you have for number 12?
Dun, 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 Darth Vader.
Coho, what do you have for number 12?
John Doe.
Is this the first ever split?
Yes, I put Hansland.
Oh.
So the chat is active.
Yeah,
So
there's some
chat-
people active in the chat.
Yes.
I love that we were like completely split on that.
One guy said, the cool guy said Davy Jones.
You know what? Can I
Yeah.
change my vote? I'll change my vote to make this simple. I'll change my vote
You
to
want-
Darth Vader. We'll make this simple. I'll just change it to Darth Vader.
Yeah, but I mean, if you wanted to change your vote, that you're
Yeah.
more than welcome to do that.
Guys, do you all realize?
As long as
Is this official? Vader is now 12.
Vader is 12. Yeah.
Okay. Do you all see
okay,
that
we're setting a
what just
precedent, though. We
happened?
can change our votes after they're revealed. We've set a precedent.
The funny thing is, no, if it's tie, you can't. But the funny thing is, he knew that Pirates of the Caribbean was about to be voted off. He goes, "I'll take it. I'll take what that means." Just so it stays. I love it. Respect, Caleb.
Also, I put Darth Vader on as like to like get all of my nominees on. It's my least favorite one that I voted on to the list.
But anyway, we write down who we want for number 11. Brian, have you changed?
Davy Jones.
Boatman,
Davy Jones.
Cody,
Strategic change.
Hans Landa.
Coho,
Hans Landa.
Collusion. Collusion.
This is not collusion. Stop
I also
collusion.
put Hans Lander because
That's
I
right, baby.
just because I actually didn't change my vote because I didn't want to.
I have to delete the ones that didn't make the list. William Tavington is really killing me right now.
That really pisses me off too. That's
I
such a
can't
great
believe I
villain.
remembered it last minute.
I know. Good for you. Good pull.
But yeah, now we're voting on 10.
10. Okay.
But yeah, I'll lead off on this one. I put Ivan Drago. Coho, who do you want at 10?
I said John Doe.
Cody, who do you want at 10?
Sorry, buddy. Do you fear death? David Jones.
Boatman, who do you have?
Finally, Davy Jones.
And Brian still has Davy Jones.
Y'all are terrible human beings.
I wasn't going to match with you on that one, but I might not. Collusion? Maybe.
And this is
Boatman.
even though Cody probably hates himself for having to agree with Boatman. So
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Hey, it's in the top 10 non-comic
Hey,
villains
can
of
we
all time.
can we put this on the poll? Top biggest villains in this community. I'm putting Boatman as number one.
I'll vote for Boatman as number 1.
He's underrated. Like he
Yeah.
seems nice, but wait until you're on a call with him for 4 hours. He's
Yeah, see,
evil.
like
He's evil.
You might think that I'm like iconic, but like Boatman is like Ginny, okay? Like legit, like Jenny.
Yeah,
okay?
does
Like,
so
I'm
much
Griffin.
harm, but you don't realize it until later.
Exactly.
But Brian, who do you have for 9?
Ivan Drago.
Boatman, who do you have for 9?
Ivan Drago.
Cody, who do you have for 9?
John Doe.
Coho, who do you have for 9?
John Doe.
And I've got Ivan Drago.
Ivan Drago being higher than David Jones actually kind of hurts.
So you realize, just to put everybody in clue that's not here right now, that doesn't know Boatman. Boatman's the kind of guy that you invite over to your house to be like, hey, you want to play video games, watch movies? And then you guys, you don't tell him you can stay at your house, but he sleeps on your couch, then pisses all over your bathroom, and leaves and doesn't ever offer to clean it up. That's that kind of guy.
But yeah, for number 8, I've got the T1000.
Oh, I hadn't written my answer yet.
Neither have I.
Collusion.
Okay. Yeah, okay,
Well,
I'm
by
ready.
the time I get to you guys, you'll probably have footed it. Coho, who do you want for 8?
John Doe.
Cody, who do you want for 8?
John Doe.
Boatman.
T1000, and I'll be right back.
What a shocker. Collusion right there.
Brian, what?
Annie Wilkes.
So he basically gets
Oh.
to pick now.
Well, Brian,
No.
you it's a tie between John Doe and the
does he?
T1000. So, Brian, you were the odd one out in this. So, T1000
T1000.
or John Doe.
T1000.
Are you kidding me? You just insulted the 80s.
Hey, out of those two, there are other ones I would have put above, below it.
T2 came out of the 90s, Cody.
As let's say.
You're not wrong. I take that back. You insulted the 90s.
So what made it on the list? Oh, T1000.
Yeah.
Your mother.
But yeah, going to lead off for number 7. I've put Jafar.
What the hell? John
Coho,
Doe is
who-
not this good, guys. John Doe is not this good.
Cody,
You haven't seen the movie. You can't say that.
It's kind of
He's
true, but
not better
I
than
have.
Jafar.
And I got bored, so I drew stars. John Doe.
Boatman, who do you want for 7?
I put Jafar.
Oh my
Collusion!
god.
Brian,
my
who do you
God.
want for 7?
I have Annie Wilkes. However,
So
I'm
Brian-
the one that changes, right?
Yeah, Jafar or John Doe?
You know, I as much as I love John Doe, I like Jafar better. So I'm going to say John Doe.
Thank you. I can finally write something different.
Okay, what do we got?
Who's
Maybe
left?
save it
Who's
up.
left? We got Gruber, Jafar, Scar, Anton Chigurh, Annie Wilkes, Calvin Candy. Is that right?
That is
Mhm.
right. But
Go to Boatman first, so he doesn't write his answer based on what Malcolm says.
Yeah, exactly.
Jafar. My answer's still Jafar.
Boatman, have you changed your answer?
It's still Jafar.
Brian, who do you have for 6?
Hoping eventually somebody will agree with me. Anton Chigurh.
Oh my god.
Cody, who do you have for 6?
I put Calvin Candy.
Coho, who do you have for 6?
Brian, I wrote Annie Wilkes to agree with you for once.
Because you haven't seen it.
There goes
Exactly,
Jafar.
because I haven't seen it.
But sadly, because of that, Jafar's at 6.
How?
You're kidding me. God,
How? Whoa.
Brian.
Oh, no, you switched. Mother.
Well, no, Boatman had.
I know. I realize it. Freaking
Yeah.
Brian had to switch.
Yeah, it's one of those cases like if you. one of
Brian,
the
that's why you
classic
keep writing the
cases
same
which-
thing until someone agrees with you.
Yeah,
If that's the case, it would have been writing Anton Chigurh the entire round. Okay.
I guess you're right. Never mind. You should have kept
I
Annie
mean-
Wilkes one more round. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, it's one of the classic scenarios of thinking is like there's no chance to go for the same person is going to work, so you change it just so somebody else to agree.
Bowman's in collusion. I don't trust him.
Boatman, who do you have for 5?
Calvin Candy.
Brian, who do you have for 5?
Hopefully back to Annie Wilkes.
Cody, who do you have for 5?
I switched to Anton.
Oh no,
Coho, who do you have for 5?
Annie Wilkes. Annie Wilkes.
I also had Annie Wilkes.
Yeah, baby.
The only other one I got on the list.
And it should have been me. You're not good enough to bring her up.
Okay, hold on. What's left?
Calvin
We have
Candy,
got
Hans Landa. No, he's already gone.
No, Hans Gruber.
Hans
Scar
Gruber, Anton
and Anton.
Chigurh, Scar, and Jeff. Oh yeah. We're down to the top 5.
We're in the top 4.
Top
There's
4.
only 4 left.
Yeah, so there's
4 left.
Hans Gruber, Anton, Scar, and Calvin.
Oh wow. Okay.
Okay.
Brian, who do you have for 4?
Who'd you say?
Brian. Yeah.
Okay. Anton. Chigurh.
Boatman, who do you have for 4?
Wait, did you say me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Boatman.
Oh, Calvin Candy.
Cody, who do you have for 4?
I hate that I agree with him. Calvin Candy.
Oh, damn
Coho,
it.
who do you have for 4?
Calvin Candy.
And I also had Anton Chigurh, but Calvin Candy is going to be 4.
Bowman's at a house party.
Yeah, he is.
They're doing coke in the other room. I'm calling. Right
I was always wondering why he keeps disappearing. But anyway,
it was his turn to do a line.
but anyway, we've got top 3 now. So it's going to be interesting. Brian, who do you have for number 3?
Anton Chigurh.
Boatman, who do you have for 3?
I have Scar.
Cody, who do you have for 3?
Anton.
Coho, who do you have for 3?
Hans Gruber.
What?
But I've got Anton Chigurh.
Oh, motherfucker.
Probably murdered the spelling of that. And now instead of voting for our number 2, we're going to vote for our number 1. And I'm going to start off. I've got Hans Gruber as number 1. Coho, who do you want for number 1?
Scar.
Cody.
I'm contractually obligated to say Scar, but I also put Boatman because I think he deserves the number 1 spot.
Great.
Boatman, who do you want for number 1?
Hans Gruber.
And what a shocker the Die
That's
Hard
over.
guy's gonna put.
Brian, who do you have for number 1?
Hans Gruber.
Oh my God, who is shocked with that one?
I should have tried to get off the list sooner so he wouldn't be number 1.
We should have colluded.
I'm. Okay. I mean, then we could have fought fire with fire there with Malcolm and Boatman.
Yeah. Bowman's got to go because he's got to go do coke.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was definitely a fun list and definitely heated in places as well. But anyway, our top 12 movie villains that are not from comic books is at number 12 is the one that a lot of people are probably going to disagree with completely, and that's Darth Vader. At 11, we've got Hans Landa. At 10, we've got Davy Jones. At 9, we've got Ivan Drago. At 8, we've got the T-1000. At 7, we've got John Doe. At 6, we've got Jafar. At 5, we've got Annie Wilkes. At 4, we've got Calvin Candy. At 3, we've got Anton Chigurh. At 2, we've got Scar. And at number 1 is Hans Gruber. But yeah, as always, after we stop broadcasting, I'm going to put the options for next week up on the on a poll, and you're going to vote for what you want next week's topic to be. But we're going to go to plugs now. Brian, where can people find you online?
You can find me all the usual places, competing in trivia and also Movie Battleground occasionally. I'm hosting and question writing for Multiplex Movie Warzone, where we got teams starting up pretty soon as well as singles. And you can find me on Facebook under my name, Brian Michaels, and on Letterboxd if you use that under the name Cinemaphile.
And Boatman, where can people find you online?
Find me at Caleb Boatman on all the social media thingies. Yeah, you can find me being a part of the Movie Warzone show.
Not after today.
Not anymore.
So formally being a part of that. So check out my podcast, Burns and the Boatman, with my buddy Jay Burns. It's a whole lot of fun. Coho was on there once. We talked about the top 10 community episodes. It's a lot of fun. Check me out playing trivia. Yeah. Things, people, places.
Cody, where can people find you online?
You can find me, if you're a part of this community, you can pretty much find me on Confidence Cinema, Full Metal, Take 3, Multiplex Entertainment. Multiplex Entertainment I have the most responsibility of now, Nerdgasm. And I'm 3-man heading Warzone and brought on 2 fantastic people to the admin crew of Brian Michaels, which was pretty much over there, but didn't really have any guidance. They just said, "Hey, you're doing Warzone," and he was expected just to run it. But me, Boatman, and him are doing a great job. They're killing it, and the team's tournament is going to be insane. I can't wait for that to come out. And you can find me running Nerdgasm with Brooklyn Vale whenever we get back on track or whatever, because we have them recorded. They're just upload is insane, so that's basically it.
Coho, where can people find you online?
You can find me over at Multiplex. I run Phantom Fight on Friday. We've had a bit of a hiccup in upload schedule that you can thank Premiere Pro for that. But we'll be back very soon with the MCU exhibition, and we'll have a whole lot of great content for you coming very soon. I'm over at Multiplex. That's where you can find me.
And you can find me on Take 3 as always, every week, hosting Rankum. You can find me on Full Metal, hosting Full Metal Random, and this week is a Disney animated match with Gene Kemp versus Nazario Montenegro versus a little boat that's on this panel. But that should be a lot of fun. You can also find me on Multiplex, competing in fandom teams with my buddy Matt Kearns, and in Movie Warzone with my other partner Manning Franks. You can also find me co-writing TV Throwdown, and I'm on Twitter, Letterboxd, and Stardust at Melkor. And until next time, keep ranking shit.